When Chrisean Rock showed up at a recent church function with her kid, who is about 2 years old, several people noticed something odd. Although some were discussing her latest song, the majority of people were focused on her child, not because of his looks or his attire, but rather because of the unpleasant sense that something wasn't quite right. People who knew Chrisean and her family immediately observed that the boy looked almost exactly the same as when they last saw him on social media. Rather than being a typical moment where a proud mother displays her healthy child, the crowd began to feel apprehensive, and the atmosphere became more strained. There were no indications of development, and he appeared to be in the same condition as months before. But it was his actions, not just his looks, that were concerning. The infant hardly moved, didn't seem to care about anything, and didn't make eye contact. After a video of Chrisean carrying her son into the church went viral, a doctor who had no relationship to the family publicly voiced their professional view on the subject. According to the doctor, unless the infant receives medical attention right away, he may never be able to talk. This wasn't just idle speculation. A seasoned expert was offering medical advice. Naturally, the online community reacted swiftly, adding to the concerns and stoking the flames. Additionally, Blueface's mom. She chose to post a live video of her first delivery on Instagram, but it was quickly criticized. Although she was grinning, thanking, and describing her son as perfect, several observers noted odd cues. The baby was not gazing about, moving his head, or appearing to be interested in anything going on around him. The baby's cries made this agony worse. It was a loud, harsh scream that appeared out of the ordinary, not a typical cry, which only made the mounting worries worse. Chrisean continually insisted that her baby was well in a video, even justifying her decision to have Blueface's name permanently inked on her body as her son wailed in the background, despite the mounting worries. At 8 months old, the infant exhibited little interest in feeding and hardly responded to a command, and many viewers found it uncomfortable, unable to ignore the concerning indicators as the baby grew older. Spoon even when it was close to his mouth, raising issues about his development that went beyond cruelty. Sincere questions about why he wasn't eating, and why he didn't look as vivacious as most Chrisean infants his age were asked in the comments, but she reacted defensively by accusing them of creating negativity and turmoil. She disputed that her infant was incapable of smiling, holding his head up, or making sounds, claiming that everything it was all okay until a new theory came to light. According to others, her child may have creduca, a rare illness that could explain the strange cries and developmental delays. Others said that it was important to keep an eye on developmental milestones since they enable parents to spot possible issues and provide them the chance to intervene early if needed, while others backed Chrisean by arguing that all babies develop at different rates. These turning points were about caring and acting, not about comparison. Chrisean said that doctors had told her everything was all right despite the online debate, but the absence of any documentation, a medical report, or other proof left people unsure of what was best for the child. The baby's small head, flat face, and low-set ears were among the physical traits that others noticed when examining him closely. Some even speculated that the baby's cries might be due to withdrawal symptoms. Skeptic Chrisean's openness on social media only made things more difficult. Many believed that she would have revealed information to calm mounting worries if doctors had truly reassured her. Then Blueface jumped in again, saying that even though Chrisean had shared how quickly the infant healed from the operation, he had delayed their son's hernia surgery and only sought treatment when things became worse. Since Chrisean shared a video of her son walking, things have been getting worse. He was nearly a year old by this point, but instead of easing the growing concerns, the video raised more questions because his unsteady, awkward steps lacked the playfulness and curiosity that most kids exhibit at that age. Rather, they appeared forced, as though he had been placed in the position merely to appear to be making progress. Critics were supposed to be silenced by the video, but it simply heightened concerns. Viewers were shown a newborn who seemed fragile, aloof, and disconnected rather than a healthy, growing infant. Many began to wonder if Chrisean was exploiting her son to maintain her fame and relationship with Blueface, and gradually the issue shifted from criticism to concern. Children who are nearly a year old typically play, explore, and exhibit a greater level of engagement with their environment. Many people find Chrisean Rock's relationship with her kid to be quite disturbing, and previously, some speculated that her decision to become a mother may have been motivated more by her want to maintain a failing relationship with Blueface than by a genuine desire to become a mother. They questioned Chrisean's parenting and expressed concern for the child's well-being, but it was clear that the online debates were motivated more by a sense of duty than by hate. Later, Janet, Chrisean's former best friend, came forward to disclose a previously hidden aspect of Chrisean. She said that despite her private feelings of exhaustion and frustration due to her situation, Chrisean maintained a facade of everything being fine rather than asking for help or listening. Chrisean appeared to further withdraw into denial at this time, dismissing the mounting worries as the public began to observe troubling indicators about the child's development. Chrisean's decision to cease sharing her kids' pictures and videos on social media was long overdue, but it was greeted with a surprising amount of support from her loved ones. She was able to distance herself from her family, friends, and fans who were truly worried for her son. Although many believe that Chrisean's decision to prioritize her son's welfare was the right one, it was criticized when she and her son were later seen at a church function. The fact that her son, who is now nearly 2 years old, has not changed much became apparent. In contrast to the curious, active, and expressive children of his age, he remained still, quiet, and isolated from the outside world. It was a devastating sight, and people began to fear that the youngster was not merely exhibiting developmental delays. Rather, he appeared to be physically and emotionally isolated from the outside world, a child caught in an uncontrollable circumstance. Authority. This awareness was further heightened by memories of Chrisean's prior pregnancy behavior, which included drinking, smoking, and fighting with Blueface while she was pregnant. Many now think that the turmoil and neglect shown in these films directly affected her son's health. Chrisean had openly voiced her concerns about becoming a mother during her pregnancy, even mentioning the possibility of an abortion at one point. But the child was born into a Clarissa, Blueface's mother, brought her voice to the discussion, despite her long-standing distaste for Chrisean, when she saw her grandson, whom she couldn't even be certain was hers. Chrisean's activities following his delivery only seemed to reflect the same instability in the world of noise, turmoil, and neglect. She kept tweeting inspirational statements and videos promoting her music, while her baby's condition seemed to worsen as public concerns increased. Not even Clarissa, who had never been a fan of Chrisean, could refuse that this child was hurting and needed help. His blank stare seemed to validate everyone's worst fears, and he knew she was there. Many people began assembling the events on the internet, remembering the unsettling video of Chrisean smoking, drinking, and partying while pregnant. People were unable to suppress the feeling that Chrisean had taken today's circumstances might be different for her son if Chrisean had made healthier choices and taken better care of herself, and calling anyone who questioned her motives a hater, and further withdrawing into her social media and celebrity world. When Chrisean appeared at another public event, the scene became extremely heated. The audience was uncomfortable and confused by the discrepancy between the music and the existence of her child's illness. In the background, her son was singing about blessings and faith while remaining motionless and silent. He appeared to have been forgotten in the midst of his parents' busy existence, lost in the shuffle of celebrity, drama, and neglect. His silence spoke louder than any song or performance ever could. Voices demanding more were heard on the internet. Once more, in order for Chrisean to come out of her public persona and confront the reality, worried parents, child therapists, and action doctors advised her to take her son to a specialist. Chrisean's reaction, which claimed to be strong and to think everything was all right, was nonetheless vague and contemptuous. But the public needed her to confront the reality, not receive that information. Clarissa persisted in speaking out, despite the fact that she had never been fond of Chrisean. Many were very moved by her remarks, which focused on the baby's need for aid rather than more attention or drama, since she saw the issue for what it was: a youngster in need of significant medical attention, not just a celebrity spectacle. The child's narrative is about much more than the drama and spectacle that often surrounds celebrity culture. It serves as a sobering reminder of the grave implications that neglect and instability can have in real life, particularly for a child who he didn't choose to be born into a world of uncertainty where his parents' lives and deeds seem to take precedence over well-being, yet he still has to live with the repercussions of his choices. The truth is that he never asked for any of this. Born into a maelstrom of conflict, public scrutiny, and personal sorrow, this newborn boy is at the center of a narrative that has garnered international attention. This child was thrust into a chaotic atmosphere from the beginning, having been created by the grown-ups in his life. By deciding to make her pregnancy and early motherhood public, his mother, Chrisean, exposed both herself and her son to the harsh criticism and intense expectations that come with being a public figure. Things were made worse by her tumultuous and adversarial relationship with Blueface. There were worries that she was prioritizing her public image over her own health and the welfare of the unborn child after seeing recordings of her arguing, drinking, and smoking while pregnant. Although the public observed, conjectured, and chastised her, the child's needs were disregarded, and now, nearly 2 years later, he is still coping with the consequences of choices made long before he was. Born at a time when most children are walking, talking, and investigating their environment. In addition to suggesting possible developmental delays, this child's incapacity to engage with his environment is a red flag that something more serious may be going on. Not only are people judging this child's condition based on their own impressions, but they are also showing sincere concern for a child who appears to be having difficulty interacting and engaging with others. The physical and emotional aspects of it. What Chrisean is willing to do for her son's future is the real question at hand, not the criticism she gets or the online audience's reaction. Will she be able to put aside her need for validation and her desire to maintain her public image in order to confront the prospect that her child needs professional help? The likelihood of long-term damage increases with the amount of time Chris ignores the problem. All children should be given the chance to thrive. A child's growth can be greatly enhanced by early intervention, but Chrisean's inability to acknowledge the seriousness of her son's condition is causing even more worries. She may still be hiding behind the meticulously constructed online identity, avoiding rather than addressing issues head-on, as evidenced by her actions, or lack thereof. Additionally, the father plays a crucial part in his son's welfare. Despite his sporadic media appearances to offer commentary on the matter, Blueface has not demonstrated the kind of dedication necessary to fully support his son. He is, at best, a remote character who cares more about maintaining his own reputation than being a loving and involved father. His inability to take charge in a significant way simply makes the child's uncertainty and instability worse. It's about taking ownership of one's actions and establishing a safe, caring atmosphere, as seen in images or films. Blueface's quietness and inaction send a troubling message to his son, maybe suggesting that neither parent is truly worried about his future. The truth is that the adults in this child's life have made him the center of attention, even though his life shouldn't be a spectacle or the subject of remarks or criticism on the internet. What is unclear is whether Chrisean. The choices the child's parents make in the coming months will ultimately determine his future. This tragic circumstance cries out for a remedy before it's too late, and Blueface will take charge, own up to their mistakes, and get their child the support they require. Because the individuals who should be taking the greatest care of him failed to do so, this boy might continue to live in a world of quiet and alienation if they disregard the warning signs. Even while everyone is watching, the question remains, will the adults in his life accept responsibility and give him the help he needs, or will they continue to ignore the warning signs until it's too late? The internet is waiting for a conclusion to this story, which is still ongoing. Noise and drama have characterized his short life.